All right, we are now live. Live with Nicole Foisey, folks. We are going to wait for some people to tune in here. And I hope everyone's having a good day. During this interview type chat that we have with Nicole Foisey, go ahead and drop down any kind of questions you guys have. I can see them on my end. So ask away any questions and we will get to you guys. I'll go ahead and get it going, even though we're having people tune in here. Drop in a hello when you guys tune in. We have Nicole what was that?
Can I see when they comment, or is that just you?
You might, can you see the chat on the side? Did you see that? Yay, Nicole? Nope.
Oh.
You can't see them. You might be able to see if you can pull up the Team Schmidt Fit while we're doing this, but I don't know if I would do that because if you only have one device, it will exit you out. Yay, everyone's so excited. Woohoo. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll just jump into it. We got Nicole Foisey here today. We like to chat with a lot of our ladies here that are successful with us throughout the years and have done the daily feel good with us and have really just seen success with their health. And so we love when people are able to share their own journey with us because I think it's very relatable because we all do have our own struggles. We all do have our own health history. And these are things that Nicole is going to share with us today. She's been with us for about 2-3 years. I was reading back on messages in 2018 through Facebook, which is crazy because she sounds like a totally different person. And she has been a part of the Daily Feel Good since we have brought that on board, and she has used that diligently. So Nicole Foisey, go ahead and just introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, about your family, and just a little bit of history about yourself, whatever you feel good talking about.
Okay. I'm Nicole Foisey. I'm from Stanwood, Washington, and I'm 34 years old. And like Lindsay said, I've been with Team Schmidt for 2 to 3 years. That seems crazy because it goes by so fast. I have a wonderful husband, a son, Ryder, which all of you have seen all over Facebook. And then I'll probably cry.
It's okay. I'm going to cry too.
And then we have a miracle baby on the way.
Yay.
It happened. I struggled when I first started, when I reached out with Lindsay. After having Ryder, it was really hard. Gosh.
It's okay. It's the pregnancy.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and then it just seemed like it was back to back with health issues. They say after your first one, you always have, I can't stop.
It's okay.
It's like back to back health issues. I know I was talking to somebody yesterday and they can relate to that too. With adenomyosis and endometriosis, and they were telling me for, about 3 years that we were trying to have a kid, that I couldn't have one. And then I did the surgery and it came back. And so, all your dreams and fantasy pictures of like family of 4, that's kind of shut down, but here we are now.
Yeah. And I think, I know that's very hard for you to share, and I really appreciate you sharing that because I do understand in the fact that a lot of women go through the similar things that you've gone through: endometriosis, PCOS, getting those surgeries done and having no success. And so that's why I did ask if you were comfortable sharing that, because I do think it's very powerful in you sharing your message with what you've had to go through. And then we're going to end up talking about, what you've done to help yourself. And I want this to give other people hope too. When you really focus on your health, like you have for an upwards of 3 years now, truly doing healthy things for your body, not just picking and choosing, implementing and everything. And now look how far you've come. And that's where this is such a great, and when you made your post the other day, go check it out if you guys haven't on your Facebook page. There was other women commenting like, I took control of my health too and have had similar experiences. I'm so happy for you and things like that. I think it's so powerful that you're able to share your journey and to just be able to help others in that way. So I thank you for doing that, because I know it's really hard. And two, with having your miracle baby too, with it being just like a surprise, it's like, oh my gosh, like it's like a stunner, like you don't know what to do. Like, you know, you're kind of like, at first. So I think this is why also.
I'm a planner, and this was planned 3 years ago, but yeah, we're good.
And too, the funny thing is, I don't know if I asked you to do this interview before you found out you were pregnant, but I had you in my mind for how many months before I actually asked you. And then I was like, shoot, I don't know if she's going to be able to do it now because she's pregnant. And I don't know. So
I think it was before.
Okay, it was before. Okay. Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so I'm going to ask you now, what made you ready to finally take action? So what was like that light bulb?
I was tired of feeling depressed, lonely, like in a dark hole. If anybody that's depressed and has anxiety, I think they know exactly where that's at. And I was almost 200 pounds. I have never been that heavy in my life. And so just unhealthy, I was miserable, and I couldn't even live day by day being happy. So that's
your why is very deep. And that's where I think sometimes with just having a goal of, oh, I just want to lose some weight, like I want to lose 20 pounds, which that's a lot to ask from ourselves, to lose 20 pounds. You know, that is a hard thing to do. So having something deeper, like an emotional thing, or for your family and for yourself, like more than just something on the scale, I think is very empowering for you to then take action, like you said. And that's the message I pulled up from Nicole. She, in 2018, she said, I just want to feel better in and out all around. I feel sluggish and bloated, fat, gross, etc. My son is always my why in my life. I want to be able to be more active for him. Most days I push myself too hard and then regret it the next day. So you can see your why has really translated. I mean, I'd say your why is still pretty much the same, with just wanting to feel good, healthy for yourself and your family, and to bring yourself out of that state. So that's a great tip right there. Get your guys, talking to you guys who are on here, get yourself, write down your why. Think about why you want to make a lifestyle change, because that's what this is. It's not a fad. Nicole was not looking for a quick fix. She was like, I was reading back on messages, she's like, tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. And she did it. And it took her years to do, but she did it. And she always talked to me like almost every single day, which I absolutely loved. So the next,
I was bugging you.
What? No one's ever, a lot of people think they're bugging me, but you're not. When you're asking questions and you're taking action, these questions are always so good because you're doing and you're curious. And that's what makes things stick, is when you do learn instead of just following a strict program or something. You need to actually learn, which is what you did. So this is kind of like bleeding into you just answered, but it kind of goes into this. But did you have any goals when you first started? Can you remember anything besides your why? It was like your mood, you wanted to get out of the depressed and anxious state, and then I know you wanted to also lose some weight as well.
I mean, back then, I think I just needed to get on track and start feeling somewhat good. And I think that's where everybody is like, I feel good, and then they don't see results right away, and then they stop. And that's one thing that I was like, I can't stop. I know that in the long run, it's going to work out. I'll have great results. I remember after a few months of doing your workouts, I was like, God, this is hard. I'm dying. Like I got stronger. And then, when I finally joined your meals, then it was game on. Those meals are amazing and game changer. If you do both of them, you'll see your results if you just keep with it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, but I had committed to myself that I wasn't going to stop, and because I've done that before.
And I think you're totally right. You do start to feel better, which is motivating, but a lot of times we're focused on looks. We're focused on physique. Are we seeing change fast enough? And that's what comes with a health change, is we have to really get our mind off of that physique change and just focusing on what we look like. Because like you were having some endometriosis issues, some, thyroid problems going on. That takes time for the body on the inside to change and to bring that body out of that just low state it's in, and to bring it to that thriving state, to then want to shed fat and to want to have glowing hair, skin, and nails like you do. I know you always talk about like your eyebrows and stuff and your hair. It takes time for that stuff to change. And I think, like you said, that's one of the hardest parts. I totally agree. And that's why I recommend taking photos, going off clothes, deeper whys, and things like that. And I wrote down, you messaged me, it was about 4 months. You said, I've lost 10 pounds and 13 inches so far. So within those 4 months of you just making those changes that we talked about, I'm getting some feedback here. You lost 10 pounds and 14 inches, and that's pretty darn good right there. So.
And the thing too is, when like your meals are like quality foods, like whole foods. And when somebody thinks that they know what they're doing because they've done this before, there's a huge difference between your foods and then what you think. Like there's difference in macros, all of it. And just by me changing my food, I felt the difference right away, even like a couple weeks worth. Like my body just felt so much better because you're feeding it, you're fueling it, the good foods that you need. That's why I advise people, if you're going to do it, go all in, because you're not going to see the best results and you're going to quit.
Mm-hmm. And then
with it.
Yeah. And that's always the biggest battle. Is I do recommend taking steps, but then if you just take small steps and not large enough steps, like doing the meal plan or whatever, and then learning in the process of that, you won't see results fast enough. And it gets very frustrating that way. And that's a great point with, you think you're doing everything right or eating healthy. And I will look at most people's logs and most people's days, even though most of us, are working on fat loss, we're eating way too little during the week, and more than likely then we're binging on the weekends. And so we're creating some blood sugar issues and things like that, creating that fat gain. And one thing I wanted to read quickly about, I asked Nicole what she eats in a day, which oftentimes those of you who are part of the Daily Feel Good, I'll ask you guys, what does your day look like? And this is very common. I told Nicole, I said, this is very common to hear this. So Nicole said she does English muffin with peanut butter on Van's waffles that are gluten-free. She has water. She has her Opti greens. And then lunch I miss, but if I don't miss it, it's not good. Then leftovers, sometimes she'll have for lunch with some white rice, but she doesn't know how much she's eating of that. And then if she does snack, sometimes it's a protein bar from Costco or a few goldfish. And then dinner is decently healthy. So that is usually what I hear from people, is you do eat something for breakfast. It's usually a carb or a fat source for breakfast, or just coffee. And then usually people do not eat lunch. If they miss a meal, it's usually lunch. And then a snack is sometimes what their kids are eating, or just something random. And then dinner usually is a protein and like a starch, like you wrote. So that's pretty common. I know you giggle now because you do not eat that way at all. But that right there, if you're watching this, think, is this me? Is this me now? Is this how I eat? Do I miss my lunches? Do I snack on my kids' foods? Which, maybe try swapping out some of your kids' foods too. Because Ryder eats rotisserie chicken and knows about protein, and he's, 4 or 5 years old. So my earpiece fell out. So with that, Nicole, what made you start to want to prep your food? Because you said, and I quote, "My other struggle is prepping food." And y'all have seen Nicole's meal preps, okay? She's a freaking meal prep queen. So what made you just start doing that?
Once I realized that I don't know much about food, I tried so many different diets in the past, and like, what is that one? Advocare.
Yeah.
I did that one, and then you think you know what you're eating, and then when you don't weigh it out, you're overeating. So I just was tired of not seeing like results with my food. My workouts, I was getting stronger. That was great. I could see that. But with food, and I never prepped. I hated it. I didn't have time for it. But this was one step where I said, I have to make this for myself. I owe it to myself. I mean, there's just one point in life where you're like, I got to do this, and I'm going to do this right, and I'm going to give it 100%. And that was me. I just needed to do it. My doctors told me you need whole foods the whole time, and I never listened to them. And so this was where I was like, okay, I'll do it. These meals look amazing. And plus, you give us everything. All we have to do is buy it and prep it. That's so easy. If I had to do the research, I don't even know if I'd be meal prepping right now, but you guys give us everything, and it's simple and it's delicious.
And I appreciate you using that every week, because I do also have another quote from Nicole Foisey. She asked, do you have a general food plan that you give people or advise people to follow? This was before we really started getting into our meal plans and meal preps with the Daily Feel Good and become really good at this. We got this question all of the time. And Derek and I understood this was a big missing piece in people's lives. We do not know how to cook healthy, real food meals. We are so used to eating processed foods, even whitewashing. Nowadays, everyone whitewashes processed foods as being healthy. There is so much of that now that's why we created what we do. But it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell to get people to cook food. It's a hard sell to get people to eat this and not go and buy that, off the shelf. And that is something I think you were at a point in your health where you're like, I know I need to eat more of this real food. So then you took the leap and you started doing it. When you switch, this is not in the question, so I'm sorry. When you switch to what you were eating to like prepping, was your grocery bill, did you feel like it was something to adjust to? And if so, how did you adjust to it? And then same with like supplementation, like how was that viewed, for yourself and with your husband and things like that?
At first, my husband made fun of me in a way, which maybe some do. He wasn't like mean. He just would make comments because I wouldn't eat what they're eating. I was very strict when I first did it because I said, if I'm making this food and spending this money on this food, I'm going to eat it and I will take it with me places. And I think a lot of people know that I carry a lot of snacks and foods with me, so I don't miss it. But after probably 5 months of my husband seeing how consistent I was and how good I felt, I feel like it was almost immediately where my body was like praising me that this feels good. I was feeling really good. And then, I got on supplements. He started eating them too. And then Ryder started eating them. And honestly, when you just buy the ingredients for the food, I think we've saved a couple $100 on grocery shopping because we're not going here and there to get dinner for one night or just to get a few things for snacks. So overall, it's been great, and I'm addicted to it. Obviously, you all see it. I won't miss a week, and actually, this week is coming up on my 1 year of meal prepping. So,
yay, that's amazing.
yeah,
And that's definitely a skill that you have created for yourself, a habit. You struggled with meal prepping. You did not want to do it. You didn't do it. And now look, it's in your routine. So that's one thing while we're on this topic, and we will get to some of your guys' questions, I promise. While we're on this topic of meal prepping and planning and using the Daily Feel Good, can you walk us through just real quick? How do you plan for the week? Like, when do you make your grocery list, shop, and then prep?
I make my grocery list on Thursdays if Derek has it up. I'm kidding, Derek. I make my list on Thursdays every morning before I go in and work out. Look at the meals. If I know that my husband will probably want something more, then I'll make something different. But I do it Thursday, my list, and then I go grocery shopping that afternoon. And then Friday, I set a time in the morning and I do all the snacks first thing. Those are a little bit easier. Then I help my son with school, and then I do the meals Friday. If we have something going on, it's Saturday, but it's that simple. Just
That's awesome.
set your times and make the meals.
Do it every week. And that's what Derek and I do. We grocery shop and do plan out our list Fridays, and then we meal prep Saturday morning, and then some on Sunday, but we've been trying to do majority of Saturday morning. So for those of you trying to find time, getting up earlier in the morning, as much as it sucks, there's a few ladies that do that in here. It's a total game changer for being able to plan out your food. And those are the small little sacrifices. I'm not saying not to get good sleep, because sleep is very, very important. But I'm just saying being a little bit more organized and allotting that time, and also that money. If you do go out to eat, realize that's an expensive meal compared to a $50 bill can for one meal can last you all week, for a meal prepped, 2 meals, and also when you're buying these ingredients for recipes, it's bulk. So you have these bulk spices now where you can remake this recipe how many more times without having to buy those ingredients again. And I think you probably have some of the recipes memorized, because
I do. Those peanut butter banana muffins.
Oh yes,
those
for sure.
I've been making those for who knows how long, and now I see Michelle doing it. They're good.
Yes, those are delicious.
Your kids love them. My husband loves them. I mean, they're simple snack.
I always recommend it.
3 is a lot. Sometimes I can't even eat 3.
Yes, they're delicious. Okay, so let's move on to some questions. And thank you so much for using the Daily Feel Good and the meal plans and recipes. It seriously makes us so happy. And we do recommend all you guys jump on that train too. Okay, so question: what keeps you motivated through your journey? So when do you lose motivation? And then if you win, and if you do lose motivation, what do you do to keep going?
What keeps me motivated is how I feel. I feel great when I get up and work out. That's something that I owe to myself, and I will not change that. It's my time. So feeling good in general, and my son watches me and listens to everything I do. So just setting a good example too. There are times where I felt bad, like when vertigo hit me, it like rocked my world. And it was a huge disaster. I cried because I was like, how am I going to work out? Because this is a lifestyle, and one thing can change it all for you. So, but I still stretched, even when you're feeling down or anything, you still can get some movement in to make yourself feel good. Sorry, notifications are popping up. But that's what keeps me going.
And I think that is a great hump to get over. When we first start making changes, it is very, very hard, and the whole journey is hard. It doesn't stop. You can't just do these meal plans and the supplements and then you stop and you stay healthy. Like, you have to keep doing, like, it's a lifestyle. You keep doing those things, and it's hard. And that is one thing you've done a great job at. Like Nicole said, when you got vertigo, when you've been sick, you still did your best to eat healthy and to move your body in some way that you could in that moment, because you've been sick before, but you didn't go off like the deep end. You didn't let that derail you, from your health journey, because you have really started to understand that this is going to help you. Like, if you're sick, I need to still eat well and not like make an excuse to just go ham on some Chick-fil-A, or I don't know, I just made it up.
Well, and like when you're feeling down, the best thing for you is fueling your body the best way, not binge eating because you're feeling crappy. That's the best way. If you can miss a workout, I'll eat healthy all the time. Not all the time, obviously, but most of the time I try to, and it just makes you feel good. It kind of makes up for, those people that are like, I have to work out today, which is me. But as long as I'm eating good, I still feel okay.
But you work out because it makes you feel good.
Yes.
Like you're not working out because of something you ate the night before, if you had a donut, if you had some pizza. You're working out because you are, and that's a mindset change. That's a big mindset change. Honoring our body and the way we feel rather than I'm doing this to lose 5 pounds. And I think that's a very healthy way, obviously, to go about the journey, but it's very hard because the diet culture just, slams that in our minds. So I think that's a very healthy way to go about it. And speaking of weight, this was a question. How long did it take you to where you wanted to be weight-wise? Did you have something in mind?
I want to say, so after 6 months of weighing myself and being let down because I was like, I got to reach a goal, I stopped weighing myself. I did it off clothes, and I highly recommend a pair of pants because nothing feels better than months later you try them on and you're like, wow, they're big. Because inches, you don't see inches fall off. You just look at the pounds, and that's something that I learned. It messes with your mind. The scale does. So I want to say altogether, it probably took a year to I got over 60 pounds off, but I did everything I needed to. There's no quick fix. There's no easy pill or anything. You just got to keep at it, and you'll see your results. And most of the time, I will say too, is we are our own worst critics. We don't see what other people see. That's why pictures are nice too, but try not to be hard on yourself. I was like that. I was very hard on myself, and now I look back and I wish I wasn't, but we all are.
I think that is the hardest balance between using some kind of measurements for your results, but then really placing an emphasis on what you're doing day in and day out, because that's really what matters, is what you're doing, and that will then equate to like where we want to get. But the doing part takes time because we're not perfect. No one's perfect. We all want some pizza. We all want some donuts here and there. We all drink some beer, things like that. So you have to then remember that when we're focusing on that result thing. The scale, I also don't weigh myself. It's a good tool, but if it really gets you down and out, toss it. Get rid of it. Don't even have a scale. We don't have a scale anymore. Like you said, taking photos is fantastic, but I don't recommend holding your phone up and zooming in on all your body parts and saying how much you hate everything on your body. I don't recommend that. The photos are there just to have on your phone, and then you can keep comparing as you go down the road. And then clothing is fantastic, like you said. It's just, that's a great way to measure your inches lost without having to do a measuring tape. I do think measuring is nice as you can see those inches drop, like you said. But again, you don't want it to be something that just totally degrades you, measuring your body like that. So it's just having that healthy mindset, and also counting macros. That can become very obsessive for people, and I understand that, but it needs to be a learning tool to learn how to portion, and not necessarily being super like obsessive and like anal. You know what I mean? So it's like that fine balance always.
Well, like, macros too. To be honest, I didn't have Lindsay set macros at first. I thought I knew what I was doing, and sure enough, that slapped me in the face because Wayne. Do you want to say something?
No, go ahead. Keep going.
I thought you were.
No, I will, but go.
And so I was like, no, I can do this. And she's like, are you sure? She always checked in with me, and I was like, nope, I got it. Weighing out my food. But sure enough, months down the road, I was like, I need macros, and I need to track. And that's a huge thing. When you think you know what you're weighing, you really don't. I will say that, because compared to what like 4 ounces of chicken would weigh from what I would weigh, it was a huge difference, just kind of throwing it in or whatever. But, and the second that I started tracking, my body felt better. I just noticed difference in shirts and how pants fit, and just overall felt better because I was not overeating what I needed to.
Yes. Yeah. And I think usually when I don't measure my food, I do like my protein, especially, I'll do 2 to 3 ounces on accident. And then when I weigh it, I'm like, oh, that's only 3 ounces. I need 4.5 ounces. So that's fantastic. Okay. we're talking about food still. As you can tell, food and supplementation and also lifting and working out, but food is a really thing that stands out with Nicole's journey is how much she's really focused on that. And just honestly doing all the cycles that I talk about with the supplements and with the bone broth and all this stuff. So let's flip it on the other side. We have a question. How do you balance treating yourself?
Honestly, I'll say at first I didn't. And then I'd find myself binging, like hiding and binging because I didn't want my husband to see or whatnot, or my son to see. But do it. Have some in moderation. Don't stop yourself from having it. That's going to make you feel worse. And then when you actually really want it, you're going to binge eat it and eat more than you should have. That is something that I've learned on this is balance. Treat yourself in moderation, but don't overdo it.
And I think, like you said, it definitely stops you from then the binging cycle because you are allowing yourself to have those things in moderation and you're always in that control, more of a control state. Sure, we all grab stuff here and there, you know, and just shove it in our mouth. It just happens. But when you allow yourself to have that, you know, like you said, it really then inhibits that want to binge. And I think that's very, like Valentine's Day coming up. I got a question about, you know, going out to dinner. Hey, you've been great all week. You know, you've been on point with the meal plan. You've really tried your best here. Just enjoy that dinner with your husband or your spouse. You know, it's not going to, you know, kill you. Just get back to it and focus on your health the next day. And that's it.
You, when I first started out, you know, like the first 6 months, I brought my own dressings or places because I didn't know what was in dressings. And I embarrassed my husband a few times pulling out a little container of salad dressing. But you know, sometimes you just got to stick to the plan. And I did. I stuck to it when I went out. But that doesn't mean you have to be that strict. That's just how I was. Now I'm not like that.
Yes. I will say that you don't have to bring your own dressings and stuff to restaurants, like you said. But I will say, like, doing that stuff, you don't feel weird about it, whatever. If you want to bring a non-inflammatory dressing to a restaurant, then do it. And I was going to say off of that, especially with you and others who struggle with autoimmune things and thyroid problems and gut issues, going out to eat, you do have to be careful. And also condiments in the fridge, which you've made all these swaps in your home. These inflammatory oils, these ingredients in these things that we're consuming are sneaky and can cause that inflammation in the body. And that's one of the big things Nicole did too, is she swapped out a lot of her condiments, and those are like her normal condiments now. So that was a big part, I believe, in healing for you, Nicole, is just the better ingredients all around with everything, and not, you know, doing deli meat to hit the protein and doing like lower quality things, because although it is better than other things and there's steps to take to get you to this point to where you're at, that is really going to heal the body on the inside is these ingredients that you're consuming. So
yeah, it was, you know, it was a lot of work to switch them all out, but I'm happy I did because all around, you know, gut health is really important, and I never knew how important it was until meeting you. So if you look in my fridge, I have Primal Kitchen and Sir Kensington's, and that's
yes,
that's what I use.
Yes, and they're normal now, and you kind of adjusted to that new norm, which is awesome. Okay, another question based on the treating yourself and everything. How do you avoid bad cravings when you've had a rough day and you just want to give in?
You know, on like those bad days where you're like, I need sweets or whatnot, you know, I'd look up the DFG recipes like for cookies. I mean, those are amazing. Those should help with some cravings, but you know, everybody's cravings are a little different in how, you know, like those could like help my craving, but they might not help other people's cravings. So that one's kind of tricky for me, but I would recommend, and what I do is I just look up something that if I'm wanting chocolate, normally those muffins help, but sometimes I need more, and cookies help, or a shake, or, you know, just having none of that stuff in your house if you know that you are going to go for it, and swap it out with some better options, I would say.
I think that's a great, I know you do this, But that's a great answer, in the fact that that's also what I recommend, is to find better swaps for things you crave. Even if it's something like chips, having a better ingredient chip. A chip is a carb, just put it in there as your carbohydrate, if you have a late night snack or something, and call it good. I think trying to make it a better option is good. And then also, I think asking yourself, why do you want to revert to food when we are feeling certain ways? So actually trying to figure out like how to stop that trigger, to then just, because it's kind of just an emotional trigger. I think, like for this question, they're having a bad day and they just want to just eat, something they're craving. And that also may be, not all the time, but sometimes it could be, maybe you didn't eat well throughout the day. Maybe you missed a meal. Maybe you skipped your snack or something. That can cause you to crave then later in the day, or be really low energy and you're feeling really lazy and tired to where you just grab whatever. So preparation too, I think, is huge for helping that area too, which I know you come prepared for your weeks. You come locked and loaded.
I make sure I have all the chocolate chips that I need and whipped cream, and I'm set.
Yes, I was gonna say whipped cream. That's what I was gonna say, whipped cream. Okay, we kind of hit this question. We're kind of rounding off. We got 3 more questions here. How do you stay motivated when you hit a plateau and stop seeing results? So when you hit a plateau, go ahead.
When I hit a plateau, I reach out to Lindsay for macro advice. Normally your metabolism is speeding up and you need more. Maybe. That's at least my experience. I also switched up some workouts too, if my body was getting used to doing the same thing or lifting the same weight, up your weights. There's always room for improvement in this. And, there's been a few times where I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I reached out to Lindsay and she helped me with my macros and, switch things up. It's
That's
what
great. Yes, and that's exactly with the plateaus, usually, and you nailed it, there needs to be something else then tweaked in your journey. So you're doing something in your day, you hit a plateau, we need to evaluate what you're doing and what can we improve. And there's always something to improve on, just like you said. Reach out to me, message me. That's part of the perks of being a part of the Daily Feel Good. I'm here to help you guys always. And there's always room to progress. You nailed it. Usually upping the macros is needed because your metabolism is speeding up, and increasing weight is a great tip as well. You're really right. And sometimes maybe you need to sleep more. Some people lack so much sleep that's inhibiting, their fat loss a little bit. So you nailed that.
Yeah, I could see the sleep being a part. That I never would have thought that, but now that you say that, I could, because I used to not. I set bedtimes and wake up times now, and so that I could see that definitely.
What time? So this is actually the next question. What time do you go to bed, and what time do you wake up usually?
So I set this blue light option on my phone to where it turns on at a certain time, and then I have 10 minutes from there. My husband got it all set up for me because he thinks, he believes in that. Like if you're sitting there on social media or doing things and your mind's going, you're not gonna be able to fall asleep. So he's like, I'll set the blue light. You have 10 minutes, and then I turn it off, and then I've started reading again. So I am in bed at 8. I put my son down at 8. I'm in there till about, I'd say 8:30, 8:40. And that's the last I know. So then I set an alarm for 6:40 just so I can get up before my son, set my intentions for the day, and not be all scatterbrained when he's awake and trying to get things done. So in between 6:40 and 7 is when I wake up.
Perfect. And I love your bedtime routine. With setting your phone, I actually, on your iPhone, I don't know, I think you have an iPhone. There's a bedtime setting right there. Whoa, right there. And I set it to where it does pretty much what yours does. And it tells you like pretty much, hey, put your phone down. Like it's like, good night, it's time for bed. And I put it away. And actually I just bumped mine up to sooner, so I'm just totally off my phone. And we have a very similar routine. So I think that routine is amazing. I think that is one thing if y'all have kids, we don't have kids. So Nicole being the leader here, getting your kids, putting your kids down at a certain time. And does Ryder ever fight you on going to bed at 8? And what do you do?
He doesn't fight us. He just, whenever I give him a countdown. He's a kid that needs countdowns, or it's a meltdown from heck if I don't. So I always give him a 30-minute countdown at 7:30, and then he still makes comments. He's like, I don't want to go to bed. I'm like, but sleep is important, and so he's in general okay, but
Okay.
he knows that's his bedtime, and if he sees the clock, he'll be like, oh, I have 4 minutes till bedtime. He knows.
So you got him in that routine, and that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good tip, is the countdown for sure. I know a lot of people who do that. That's fantastic. So I know we got a lot of moms in here, and I think that's one of the hardest things is with having kids, and also your spouse is trying to get them to adapt to the changes you want to make as well. I always recommend like getting the family together. I know it's never this easy just saying this, but getting the family together and having that conversation like, hey, bud, we're going to go to bed at this time. I'll let you know at this time. Like they'll comprehend those things, I think. And that's really good that you're communicating like, hey, sleep is good for you too. Mommy's got to go to bed and, be healthy too. I think it's good to explain that, even if they're screaming sometimes, that they'll eventually hear you and see you do it too. So I love that. Okay, so 2 more questions I got for you. 1, this is a great ender. If you had to pick, what was one thing you either stopped doing and or started doing that played the biggest impact on being successful?
Oh, yes, I saw that one. I got 2. So the best thing was meal prepping, because when you're out and about or just even at home, you grab things that might not be macro friendly. So meal prepping, I would say. One thing that I stopped was snacking, walking by the cabinet, grabbing a few chips here and there. That is one thing that I did stop doing. If I am hungry, I go for protein, which you've taught us all. Always go for protein. So I see those are my 2 things that have helped me be successful.
Awesome. And I love that. Those are 2 very important things. And I can't take credit for the protein thing. Derek is the one that said, reach for protein, always reach for protein, grab protein. Are you hungry? Eat protein. And it's so true, because it is the most satiating. It's the most fulfilling macronutrient. And it's going to be the macronutrient that we're always lacking. And it's very hard, and people don't believe me, but it's very hard to overconsume protein. So very hard for our body to get too much protein. So that is a great tip there. I absolutely love those 2 there. Okay.
I've nailed my son's head too, where he's like, what can I have as a snack before bed? And now it's like, he's like, can I have some chicken? And I'm like, sure. Or
that's awesome. And he probably sees you do that. And that's something I noticed in your meal prep. And I believe we talked about this, maybe, I don't know how long it's been now, but you were starting to get hungry and we upped your macros and stuff. And then you started prepping like plain chicken as a snack. Yeah. So like you'll always see in Nicole's meal plan that she has like plain chicken like on the side in a separate Tupperware. And that is to help with that snacking and to reach that protein goal. And those are the things you have to be willing to do. I mean, to get to your goals and to really feel good. And I remember I posted in the group probably about a month ago, people started tracking again after the holidays. They felt so much more energized getting their protein up. So it's amazing what that can do. I feel like it's the black sheep.
Well, and then when people say I've had this be a question to me too, is don't you get bored of the chicken? There's many ways you can make your chicken. Like Michelle nailed her air frying. I forget about air frying half the time, but air frying is good. Adding different sauces, Primal Kitchen or Ken's. If you keep those 2 on hand, swap them out. I mean, they go hand in hand. Like I could never get tired of chicken with sauce on it.
You're right. The sauce trick and making it better option sauce, like you said, better ingredient is clutch. Spices, taco seasoning, clutch. I always love using taco seasoning. What was that? Salsa.
I always forget salsa. That's good too.
The salsa is delicious. And then, like you said, just the daily feel good meals too have a bunch of different chicken recipes and things like that. So then you got to just do experimenting and try it out, because there's a plethora of ways to make food. We just don't know them because we never learned them. So that's what we're here to help you guys do, is to learn that. And that's why how you've become so good is because it's been 2-3 years now of you doing this. You can just be like, ooh, that will be yummy. I'm going to whip that up. So it starts to become more intuitive and easier in the fact that now Nicole has been doing this, and those of you who also have been doing this for so long, you now know what you can make and what you can create, and you use the Daily Feel Good for inspiration, and it's just like a whole new world for you because you just know now. It's like in your brain, so you just know, which is so cool to see. Okay, so last question I would like to ask the ladies is your favorite supplement that you use as well, because we usually talk about food and workouts and things like that. So what would you say maybe top 2 supplements that you like?
Oh man. Well, obviously level 1. I don't know what I would do without level 1. That cinnamon cookie batter is like my top favorite. There's a lot of other, I mean, they're all pretty good, but the cinnamon one, amazing.
Because you bake with it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I put it in my shakes, and you know, I don't drink coffee really anymore. So, but that was really good in coffee. And just plain yogurt for a snack with it is really good. You know, I really like all of First Form's products that I have to say Optigreens, because that really helps my stomach, my gut health, and digest the foods that, you know, that are, I have to take this back for a second. The GI Advantage and the digestive enzymes, those are amazing for gut health too, and you'll notice a huge difference in how it helps if you have any gut problems or just in general. They're amazing products. So I just had to say that because I didn't know about those products until you told me, and they're so amazing and helpful. But I'd say level 1 in Optigreens.
You nailed it. Those are all my favorites, even the GI Advantage and digestive enzymes. I agree with you. And they're hidden gems in the products because they're just not very flashy, but it's something very important to work on that gut health. And I know things that Nicole has also cycled in is the Harmony, and that's something she took as well. And then Nicole's done pretty much all of our challenges. She's always willing to take what I say and then apply it. And I think that's one of the things I've kind of just been bumping into is I'll make suggestions, even if it's just prep out a breakfast. People won't do it. I highly recommend, if I'm telling you to just prep out a breakfast and that's where I'm telling you to start, there's a reason why. Because I don't ever want people to feel overwhelmed and things like that, but you can still, progress in that way. Okay, someone asked, how do you convince your husband to join you?
I didn't. He, you know, he's very good with comments and recognizing things when I've changed. And I think that my changing, how my body changed, it inspired him in a way. I didn't pressure him at all. I didn't say, you have to eat these. I was fine making separate meals. It was hard at first, but I got used to it. But he just wanted to join.
And I think that's a very common thing that I start to see when the ladies in this, whoever asked this question, I can't see because of the program we're using. When you just make a recipe from the Daily Feel Good and almost like don't say anything for dinner and just like make it and just have the family eat it, it'll be good. Like people like the recipes, like your family likes them. And this is just, I'm just saying this based on what ladies have told me. So maybe instead of like hounding or like, I don't know, the word nagging is right or whatever, like just doing and like offering maybe to make your husband's lunch and do a Daily Feel Good recipe. I have gotten great feedback with the ladies telling me that their husbands love the meals.
I think my first meal I ever made as a family was the shrimp gumbo, and that was a huge hit.
Oh yeah, that one is good. It's been a minute since we've done that one. Yay!
They're all really good. You know, you just got to take time and look through the DFG, and you know, if your significant other is picky or has health issues that they can't have certain things, there's always, Lindsay can always help you with swapping things out too.
Good. There's always some kind of modifications we can do, because a lot of times our mind goes, what can't we eat? And then all we think about is what can't we eat, but there's so much food we still can eat. So that's awesome. That's a great answer there. Is there anything else that you would like to share, or like, tell people or give advice? The biggest tip, I know it's almost coming up on an hour here. I appreciate your time so much, Nicole. Anything you'd like to say? Any inspiration? What'd you say?
I won't cry, I promise. I will say, if you're committed and you sign up for the DFG, give it your all. Listen to things that Lindsay says. Okay, I might cry.
Don't cry, because I'm going to cry then.
She's very helpful. That's why her and Derek are there. And honestly, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them. So the supplements, everything, listen to them. If you're going to pay for it, give it 100% and you'll see results.
Yes, and thank you so much, Nicole, for being with us for so long. And one of the questions was, what made you trust me? And I do want to know that. What made you trust me?
Well, I had my guard up for who knows how long. I got information from you, and I was so let down from all my other doctors that trial and error was always a thing for me and trying to get my health back. But it was the minute that you said order Harmony and Microfactor and you'll see a huge difference. And that's when I really started trusting you about everything, because anything after that, it was spot on. Harmony took like a day for me to notice, and my endometriosis felt so much better. Getting the vitamins in your system, I mean, your body needs it all, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying not to get teary-eyed now. But I appreciate you so much, and just helping everyone in the group like you do. I know this has been the longest one we've done, and we got a lot of people still tuning in here after an hour. And that's because you have helped so many people in this group as well through your journey. And I appreciate you. And I know a lot of other people appreciate you too as well. You've referred a lot of friends to us as well, and that means a lot. And you never ask for anything in return, which is, I'm just so thankful for you and appreciate you. And I hope everyone sees how awesome she is. And hopefully, I know she has inspired a lot of you guys who have taken the time out to watch this. And for those of you who are listening / watching this back, it's everyone's crying now. It's been just one heck of a journey and ride, just seeing you grow, and just thank you for putting in the work, like just doing it and coming with me to all the questions, checking in with me. That's what I encourage all of you guys to do. Message me, even if we haven't talked in a few months, even if you ignored some of my messages, message me. I will get back to you. And we will.
Her messages.
It does hurt my feelings. It really does. I have feelings, guys. And that's one thing. Nicole always has been open and just honest. And Nicole is nowhere near being perfect. She is perfect in my eyes, but I know that she wants all of you guys to know she is not perfect. She has struggles too. She has a lot of struggles she still faces, and with her doing everything she's done, she now has a beautiful little miracle baby growing inside of her. And it's just been such a blessing. So, all right, guys, I think we're good. I don't think, do you want to say anything else, or?
I just want to say how proud I am of everybody. You guys are always kicking butt in there, and that's one thing I like to see in the morning is all your guys' sweaty selfies. Sounds weird, but it inspires me. And even on my harder mornings, I see people and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'll thank you for that. So we have like the best group, and thank you, Lindsay and Derek, for bringing us all together.
Well, you guys make it the best group ever. We love it. If we keep it going, we want to, that's the reason why we started the group, was to have a safe place for everyone to share their journey and to not be alone, because getting healthy can feel like you're alone. And I think it's important to have that support system. So, and you're a big part of that. We appreciate you. Okay. I don't think we have everyone's crying now, even after the workout. All right, guys, we're going to sign off here. I do not see any more questions. If you guys do have questions, please, you can message me, put them in the post here, and then I will relay them to Nicole, okay? and we'll get those to you guys. We'll get those answers to you guys. All right.
They can
Cool
always
beans.
text me anytime too. Message
Okay. You can message Nicole. I don't want you to have to answer a bunch of questions, but okay.
It's okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you, Nicole, for your time. I love you so much. All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.